Good morning, dear students. I hope you all are doing well at your home. And now we will be starting with a new topic, that is aquatic habitat. In aquatic habitat, it comes marine habitat. Marine habitat comprises of oceans and seas, and both of them have salt water in them. Second point is these creatures meet in estuaries where river and ocean meet and water is salty. So therefore we can conclude that marine habitat, it comprises of oceans and seas and that has salt water in it, so the water is salty. Now, in oceans, most organisms have streamlined bodies and gills. Number 2 point, octopus do not have streamlined bodies, so they stay deep in the ocean, but when moving, they make streamlined motion. So therefore, I can say that the organisms that live in the oceans, they have streamlined bodies and also they have gills present in them. And also, if I talk of octopus, it actually do not have a streamlined body, but when it moves, it exhibits a streamlined motion, and also it stays deep in the ocean. So I hope marine habitat and oceans are clear, oceans and seas are clear to you all. Now we will be moving on to the next topic, that is our freshwater habitat. We will be studying our next topic now. Now, number one, freshwater habitat comprises of your rivers, lakes, and ponds. If I see, only 3% of the world's water is accounted as the freshwater. The organisms that live in the freshwater are snails, worms, and mollusk. Mollusk kingdom stays over here in freshwater. So therefore, we can say that in freshwater habitat comprises of all the rivers, lakes and ponds. Throughout around the world, only 3% of the water comes under the fresh water. Now coming on to the ponds and lakes. Water plants get completely submerged in water. Some of the plants are actually get deep inside the water. For example, like hydrola, it is already submerged in the water, and some of the plants, they float on the surface of the water. The example is water lily, lotus, and water hyacinth, and the roots of these plants are much reduced in size. Number third, their stems are long, hollow, and light, so that these can bend in along with water movement. For example, you can say water lily. So what we have learned from ponds and lakes, it is a freshwater habitat. It comprises of the freshwater habitat. Now, and also some of the water plants, they are submerged in water. For example, your hydrola, and some plants, they float on the surface of the water. Example, your water lily, and the roots of such plants are reduced in size. Their stems are long, hollow, and light, so that they can bend along the motion of the water. An example that you have studied is water lily. I hope the freshwater habitat is also clear to you all. Now, moving on to the next point, we will be studying in further about the characteristics of living organism. Before that, we should also learn about frogs. Frogs are the kind of organisms that are adapted to live in both land as well as water, and also they have strong back and legs and webbed feet which allow them to swim in water. Therefore, the frog is the organism that can survive in both the areas, that is in terrestrial habitat also, in aquatic habitat also. Therefore, it can live both on land and water because of its body structure. Now, coming on to the next topic that we are going to study is characteristics of living organisms. Number one that we are going to study is, now this topic will tell us how can we distinguish between a living organism and a non-living organism. For example, like we people, we come under the living organism, but the table, chair, mobile phones from which you are visualizing these are actually the non-living things. So, we are going to study about the characteristics of living organisms, and it is very important to characterize between living and non-living organisms. So, let's start. Number one, all the living organisms require food to grow and carry out life processes. The living organisms present on this earth, they require food for their growth and development of their bodies. If they don't get proper amount of food, they won't be able to exhibit normal growth and development in their bodies. And also they require food to carry out various life processes. What those life processes can be? Those life processes can be digestion, excretion, reproduction, and many other etc etc. Second point is living organisms grow in size. If I see a non-living thing and a living thing, which one will grow? The living thing will grow in size, but on the other hand, the non-living thing will not grow in size. Therefore, this distinguish between a living and a non-living organism. Number three, if I talk of, all living organisms breathe and they respire. Breathe means inhalation of oxygen and exhalation of carbon dioxide. The oxygen is actually left out by the plants during the process of photosynthesis, and we utilize that oxygen, and we actually during the process of breathing exhale carbon dioxide that is used by the plants during the process of photosynthesis. So this is a give and take process. So all living organisms, they actually need to breathe, that is the basic requirement, and also respire. What does respire? Respire means the process of generating energy. Next point is all the living organisms, they respond to stimuli. Stimuli are the changes in the environment to which our body acts. Therefore, all the living organisms, they respond to the stimuli. Next point is all living organisms carry out reproduction. Now, what is reproduction? Reproduction is the process of giving birth to young ones of same kind or young ones of their own kind, that is known as reproduction. And all living organisms carry out the process known as excretion. Excretion is the process in which the body waste is eliminated out, and that is done by with the help of the kidneys, that you will study in your further classes. Now you are small for to learn that. Next point is living organisms exhibit movement. That is, they can move from one place to another. But if I talk of non-living organisms or the non-living things, they do not exhibit movement. They cannot move from one place to another. Let's have a short recall of the characteristics of living organisms. Number one, living organisms require food to grow and carry out various life processes. Number two, living organisms grow in size. Number three, all living organisms breathe and respire. Respiration is the process of generating or producing energy from the food that you eat. The food that you eat breaks down into different particles, and then the energy released from that food is known as the process of respiration that you will study in higher classes. Next point is living organisms respond to stimuli, that is the changes in the environment. Living organisms carry out reproduction, that is the process of producing the next generation, and also excretion, that is elimination of the waste from the body. And the last point is living organism exhibit movement. So our chapter is over with this. If my dear students, if you have any doubt related to any of the topics, please do ask me. You can ask me in the comment section. And keep enjoying. Take care of yourself. Eat healthy. Stay healthy. Thank you and have a wonderful day.